Hello, this is Desiree Macon Dog, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Are you skilled at letting go of past hurts, past pain, and know how to release it? Did anyone teach you? Well, stay tuned, because if you are ready to learn how to move through sorrow and grief and loss and let go of the past, then watch the rest of this video. To learn the best ways to move through difficult emotions, then subscribe to my channel and click the bell so you'll be notified when a new video is up every Tuesday. I have helped thousands of people move through the most painful of memories and circumstances, situations, through workshops, through my books, and through little teachings that I have on all my social media channels. I am trained as an acupuncturist, herbalist, and specifically classical 5-element acupuncture. And the philosophy behind this practice is that 99% of illnesses are rooted in the spirit. Yes, 99% are caused by spirit level diseases that are leading to physical level diseases, while only 1% is actually physical. So let's begin with a definition of grief. What grief is. It is suffering or distress over affliction or loss, a sharp sorrow, or painful regret. Grief is an absolutely natural emotion, and it is not only for grieving the loss of a loved one, but it also is experienced through major changes and transitions. For example, maybe getting fired from a job, or moving to a different state or country, because you have to go through the changes and the transitions of an entirely new experience. It could be a breakup, a loss of a partner, a spouse, or it could be a friendship breakup. There are many things that constitute loss. So even if you haven't experienced the loss of a loved one, which all that I'm teaching is applicable to that situation as well, but we all go through grief on some level. A baseline fundamental principle is that all emotions are important to be experienced, to be felt. We do not demonize any human experience. Now, what we do look at is making sure that the season of an emotion is within an appropriate time frame. We're not talking about hard, fast rules like, oh, you can grieve a breakup for only 6 months and that's it. It's not about that. Everyone's timing is going to be different. And also, there are a few stages of grief. There's actually 5 core main stages of grief. It first begins with denial, then anger, then bargaining, and then depression, and lastly, acceptance. So some people are going to stay in the denial phase longer because that's natural for them. Some people might be in the anger phase longer. Some people, it's the bargaining phase that is the most extended period, stage within the whole grief cycle. Whether you are in the first stage or the third stage or the fourth stage, it doesn't matter. I'm going to share with you an essential oil blend, a recipe that helps you to gracefully move through the stages. I discovered this really great TED Talk by Nora McInerney. I hope I'm saying her name right. And she talked about grief, where a lot of people think we should move on from grief, where she proposed a different idea, that we move forward with grief. So our losses that we've experienced in life shape us. Now, the suffering from grief does not have to be ongoing. As I mentioned, everyone's time frame for each of the stages is going to be unique to the person. With that being said, there does need to be a progression of the stages. Now, we get into trouble and it becomes pathological when we're going to stay in one of those stages of grief for way too long. And that's something you would know internally. How do you know? Am I in this stage too long? Am I progressing in a very harmonious way? Well, when a person is so frustrated and so tired of feeling the anger, or they're just so sick of being depressed, they actually would like to move forward. They themselves say things like, I just don't want to be angry anymore. I just don't want to crawl in a hole and hide anymore. When they themselves are sick of a stage, then that means that the season, the time frame for that stage is actually over. But sometimes we ourselves don't know how to get out of that stage. Maybe in their minds, right? In our minds, we want to move forward, but in our bodies, we're not. And I really, really love this distinction of moving forward instead of moving on, because we don't want to forget our lives. We don't want to ignore, erase, delete. Those are important chapters of our life. It's an important part of our story, right? The people in our lives, the experiences that we've had, the places we've lived, the people we've worked with, the friends that we've had, the partnerships we've had, there's always a gift that came from them. And there's always a lesson, a nugget of wisdom that is given to us from those experiences. So we just need to move forward through the stages. So if you're stuck in a stage, if you feel like you're stuck in a stage, okay, maybe it's denial, maybe it's anger, maybe it's depression, maybe it's bargaining, whatever it is, comment below and share with us, what stage do you feel like you're stuck in? Meaning you're actually tired of that stage too. Like you're ready to experience something different yourself. Okay, not because somebody told you, not because somebody said that you need to move on, you need to get over it. It's because you yourself are fed up with being in that stage. So in Chinese medicine, we have core emotions that are generated by different elements. Now, the element that's associated with grief, sorrow, sadness, this loss, even regret, painful regret, is associated with the metal element. And the metal element consists of two organs. It is the lungs and the large intestines. If you think about the lungs rule the inhalation and exhalation. It's the inhalation of the new. It's the inhalation of the heavens, pure heavenly chi, life force as well, right? If you don't have oxygen, you cannot live. So there is life and inspiration that comes from the lungs. And then the large intestine is responsible for ridding the waste, for ridding the rubbish, for ridding the toxicity, the things that are expired and no longer needed. It is considered waste material. So the metal element can hold on to waste, and it can hold on to the past events, past pain, past hurts that are really ready to be expelled by the intestine. But for whatever reason, there's a backup, there's a constipation. So I'm going to teach you my favorite trio of oils that I use, that it is called the Grievers blend. And this combination, this jam-packed trio, is so effective at releasing the pains of the past, as well as the denial, the shock of it all too, okay? Whether it's the denial, whether it's the anger, whether it's the arguing, like bargaining, trying to justify things, whatever it is, right? Or it's the depression phase, it will help move anyone from one stage to the next so that you progress all the way into acceptance and understanding and a resolve and a peace about the situation. Doesn't mean you have to forget everything, but there is a quietness that comes, a completeness, a closure. The Grievers blend came about a few years ago after I had my very first ever miscarriage. It was my third pregnancy, and it was quite a shock because, you know, it never happened to me before. Didn't think it could happen to me. I was very young and healthy and didn't make a lot of sense. And now I understand that many individuals, many women do have this experience. And the pain was unbearable, and like you can't breathe, right? Think about the lungs take in new air, and with all of that sorrow, like a breath could not be taken in, could not be inspired. So I put these 3 oils in the diffuser, and I just felt myself just melt into all of the stages. And it happened quite quickly for me. It happened within 3 days. I diffused this blend all day, all night. It was thankfully some sort of divine download of this is what you need to put in the diffuser, Desiree, and just trust it and let it do its thing. And I diffused for 3 whole days nonstop. I didn't even put anything topically. I just diffused. And I saw myself move through an entire pathway, this progression, which I didn't really know at the time what it was, but it was definitely those stages of grief until completion. And by the end of the 3rd day, I just knew that the spirit of my baby, which I knew it was a little girl, was going to return to me. And she is not lost by any means. She is very happy, and we just needed to change our timeline. That was all it was. And we were very careful because we weren't even expecting a 3rd pregnancy. We were actually done with our 2 boys. I just knew that she was safe, and I knew she was joyful. And I didn't feel, at the end of the 3 days, I actually didn't feel loss. I felt gratitude. I felt joy. And I also entertained the idea with my husband of having a 3rd child, that it would have been okay, because we were both, we don't want any more children. And I saw how much my children wanted a sibling. And I know that I needed to entertain that idea, chew on that idea of having another family member in our Mangan dog home. And I was actually open to it. I wasn't opposed to it. Whereas before I was honestly strongly opposed to having any more children with my travel schedule and my, careers or my businesses. I'm very devoted. And 6 months later, she came back. And we actually just celebrated her 2nd birthday today as I'm recording this. It's her 2nd birthday. So how sweet that I am doing this video, because it's her birthday today. And she's 2 years old, and she totally came back. She came back home. And I'm so grateful that I did not have to suffer any more than I had to. And that I came to a place of acceptance quite quickly. Now, I am not promising that in 3 days all the pain is going to be gone. I'm just sharing with you my experience and what I went through and how much it helped me. It may take someone a few weeks of this blend to move through a stage. It may take a few hours, again, my point is that everyone is different and everyone's going to have their own timing. However, this definitely progresses you. So if you're looking for progress, if you're looking for movement out of one stage to another and not stay in unnecessary suffering and experience the multiple stages of grief, to fully experience it, right, and go through an entire cycle, then this blend is for you. So it is 2 drops each of cardamom, eucalyptus, and helichrysum. Okay? 2 drops each of cardamom, eucalyptus, and helichrysum. And that's it. You put in a diffuser, you put 2 drops each of those 3 oils, and just let it be around you wherever you are, okay? And I love an ongoing, continuous diffusing of this for a long period of time. I would at least do a couple of days. If you want to continue more than 2 days, absolutely feel free, but I would do a minimum of 2 days. So remember, it isn't just the loss of a loved one. You're going through major change, and it's painful to detach or break up with what you were used to and what was normal for you, and then you have this abrupt change. Even moving is such an emotionally taxing journey. You're talking about your physical home as well as kind of like your spiritual home. It's where you allow yourself to settle in, and when you move to a new house, it's like you're uprooted and replanted. So that is a perfect example of why you would use the Grievers blend. Cardamom is wonderful to help you process, digest, and break through a difficult circumstance in general. It is also great for anger and great for sadness, and helps you to move through it really well. The eucalyptus also disperses and opens the lungs. Same with cardamom too. They open and disperse the lungs. The lungs is where the grief is stored, as well as regret is stored in the lungs too. Helichrysum is fabulous at stitching up the wounds and the gashes of our heart, of our soul, of our spirit. So when there's all these cuts and wounds, the helichrysum goes in and just patches it up. It does like this patch job essentially. If you have an open wound, like let's say, it's the kind that would need stitches. You have flesh coming out, right? Like you see the fatty tissue. You need to stitch that up and close that up in order for it to heal well. But if it's just open and raw like that, then it could get worse. It could get infected. So we don't need our wounds to be open, like gaping open all day long, all over the place. The helichrysum comes in and seals it, stitches it. It's like putting stitches, right, or sutures, as well as like a bandage on it, to give it the opportunity to close and to heal. And maybe you have a tiny little scar, if that, but helichrysum has a way of making it so that you don't even have a scar, so that you have the memory of the events, you have the memory of the past, but you don't have all of the anguish and the pain and the suffering that comes with it. Because I'm sure you have seen, whether it's yourself or a family member or a friend close to you who've gone through a very difficult life circumstance, and it is haunting them today. and it has been a long time. It's been maybe years, but they are haunted by it. So this blend, the Grievers blend, would be very appropriate to help them or you to move forward, to progress. If you would like to join a community of people who are looking to improve their emotional intelligence, then join our Facebook group community. It is called Fabulous and Free with Desiree Dog. And if you loved this content, be sure to like and subscribe and share with your friends. If you do not have these powerful essential oils that can create the transformations that you are looking for, then feel free to contact me. It will be in the description below, and I will help you get equipped with these powerful essential oils. If you'd like to check out some of my other great videos, then take a look at the Spirit of Niuli. That is an excellent one, as well as Releasing Guilt that is expired so that you can up level your frequencies. All right, see you next time.